Hello and welcome. There has been a global outrage over Donald Trump's auto tariff announcement. He has announced 25% auto tariffs, in a sense, going ahead with his sectoral tariff stance. Remember, he has earlier placed 25% tariffs on the steel and aluminium sector, but now he's gone ahead and done this for the auto industry as well. Now, what does this mean really globally? And what does this mean for India? We will, of course, discuss this. We have Mithali Nikor, senior economist, joining us. We also have Mrunmayee, Jogalekar, an auto analyst with Asit C. Mehta Investment Intermediates. Thank you both for your time. So, of course, let's talk about how the world has reacted. Just for our viewers to understand, there has been a global outrage. The Canadian PM has said this is a direct attack. He has said, the opposition has also said, the Canadian opposition has also said, look, Donald Trump must knock this off. Japan has said this is extremely regrettable. The European Union has said this is bad for businesses, but it's worse for consumers. And UK has said that, look, this is a blow to US-UK relations altogether. So, Mithali, that's how the world has reacted. And as far as auto tariffs are concerned, what really is...
The second point I wanted to make not change, right? To the US, naturally, the two countries are South Korea, both of which are major allies getting exported to the US and which are favorites in the US car market. So definitely it's not surprising that the Japanese PM has said that this is regrettable.
One who's, of course, been a transport economist as well and who's also tracking... As someone who's tracking auto and the auto economist as well and who's also tracking logistics very closely, very crucial to understand how this will impact everything altogether. But Mrunmayee, as someone who's tracking auto and the auto industry and analyzing it on a daily basis, for India in particular, which sectors, which firms, auto ancillary firms, or which companies you feel will be hit the most, as someone who's an auto analyst tracking this very closely?
Sure. Thank you for this opportunity, firstly. Um, I hope I'm audible. So,
Yes.
I would just like to break it into two parts. So there's this impact on the auto makers, car makers, and the other would be the impact on the auto component makers, right? So if I look at the first half of it, which is the auto manufacturers or OEMs, as we call it. So from that perspective, US is not a big destination when it comes to car exports for India. The only player that would be impacted is Tata Motors because of their subsidiary JLR. So now for JLR in the 9 months of FY25, around 30% of their overall sales volumes have been to the US market. And because they do not have any local manufacturing in the US, all of that is exported into the US. So then this 30%, which is a big chunk for them, would feel the heat because of these tariffs coming in. But apart from Tata Motors, there would not be much impact that any of the other OEMs would face because, as I mentioned, US is not a very big market when it comes to vehicle exports as such. Coming to the second part of it, which is the auto components. Now, here is where we could see more heat coming in because if I look at the overall auto component exports from India, USA is the single biggest market. So around 30% of the overall exports of the auto components go into the US market. So now with tariff coming on this 30%, there could be some impact that can be seen. But again, because auto component industry is a very wide industry, there are a lot of players here. So not all players would have a significant exposure to US directly. Some of the players that do stand out is firstly Sona Comstar. So around 40% plus of their overall revenue actually comes from the US market, North American market. So they would be the ones to be impacted. Somebody else who could see an impact is Samvardhana Motherson. Apart from that, many of the players would have some impact to the US, but it would be on smaller, in smaller proportions. So they would not see much of an impact, or they could have a much diversified export presence. So just US coming up with tariffs would not impact them as much. So that is the overall view from India perspective.
All right, Mithali, I want to ask you for those saying that, look, this could also spring a fresh opportunity for India. How could you decode that for our viewers?
So I personally feel, Sakshi, and when we heard Mrunmayee also, I mean, of course, with reciprocity, the US, yesterday I was, I think, again, Middle East, Europe corridor, but electric vehicle. So,
Absolutely. And the spotlight really on the economic configuration and the fresh opportunities that lie ahead. Thank you both for decoding this for our viewers, and thank you for your time.